Good evening, members of the press. My name is Oscar Fernandez-Taranco, Assistant Secretary General from the Department of Political Affairs based in New York. I am here tonight on a special mission to the Maldives at the request of the Secretary General, who has asked me to come here at this very important and critical time to help encourage Maldivian political leaders to find a way of stabilizing the situation and moving forward on the basis of a national, inclusive, constructive, participatory dialogue and consensus. I would first also, having just been briefed on the recent incidents, and I'm coming from Jakarta, where I was attending other meetings with ASEAN, and based on the preliminary press reports that I've had the opportunity to read, I would also personally urge all actors in Maldives to end the resort to violence and to avoid steps that can further exacerbate and polarize the situation. In this atmosphere, it is very difficult to have any meaningful and rational form of national discussion. And it is therefore with a particular emphasis that I request that the message already relayed by the Secretary General be heeded to, and that we urge all political actors, all relevant actors to this crisis, to remain calm, to prevent any type of violent acts, and to not resort to incitement, threats, or rhetoric that will not help moving this crisis into a peaceful resolution. During my stay in Maldives, which will be for 3.5 days, I hope I will have the opportunity to meet with leaders of the government, leaders of the different political parties, members of the parliament, members of civil society, as well as academia, leaders, organizations, human rights organizations, and others, in order to better inform myself about the events that led to this unfortunate situation. My intent is to report back to the Secretary General, who is following these developments very closely and with big concern. The Secretary General, I believe you have his statement, has already expressed his sentiment that the events in the last 2 days can lead to a political and peaceful resolution of this crisis that has polarized the country in the recent months. He has called on Maldivians to refrain from violence and to engage constructively to protect and build on the important gains that have been accomplished with this incipient transition to democracy. When I meet with the different leaders and representatives of civil society, I will be discussing with them ways to move the situation forward in a peaceful manner, and it should be clear that any solution to this political crisis must be generated by national actors, and I stress this fact. It is not for international actors to become engaged in a manner that can actually become and complicate matters more. There can be no externally generated solution to the problems that the Maldivians themselves have to identify, resolve, and this through a form of dialogue. The Secretary General has asked me also to relay that the United Nations remains available to support and assist in this process of facilitating and encouraging national dialogue. The United Nations has been a very strong and close partner to the Maldivian people through many, many years of presence here in the Maldives. We have had very important development cooperation programs, very important humanitarian response programs during the tsunami, and we have also had the opportunity to accompany the democratic transition by providing monitors for the first democratic elections that took place, and as well for the parliamentary elections and local elections. So the United Nations has been very committed to the development of the people and supporting the development programs and priorities to meet the Millennium Development Goals, address climate change, mitigation, adaptation measures that are so crucial to the survival of this country and the people. But equally important, the United Nations has been extremely engaged with supporting the new institutions that fight for human rights, that fight for the rule of law, and are engaged in interpreting and applying the Constitution. I therefore again just like to conclude this by urging once more for everybody to remain calm, to refrain from violence, and to give the political actors, the Maldivian political actors involved, the necessary time and space so that we can start constructively addressing the issues that led to this crisis and move forward in a sense of national unity for the best interest of the people of the Maldives. With this, I would just like to also say that for the United Nations, the respect of the Constitution, of the rule of law and human rights are indispensable principles for any democratic government, and it's extremely important in this particular current context. With this, I thank you all for being here late into the night and for welcoming me. This is my first visit to the Maldives, and I think during the course of my stay or at the end, before I leave, we might have the opportunity to have another encounter so that I can maybe relate to you the initial findings of my mission here in the Maldives. Thank you all very much for this evening. Secretary. And for us, and it's important, and thank you for the question, it's important to clarify that my mission here is not that of an investigation mission. The investigation or clarifying the events that took place is a responsibility and role primarily of the Maldives high judicial and parliamentary institutions. There are national institutions here that have the mandate and are empowered to undertake the necessary investigations that might be required to help this process move forward in a constructive manner.
Excuse me. I'm Fiaz from Harvard. I'm sure you are very aware about the situation in Maldives. Now the situation is totally changed. So did you talk to any political actor before you came here about the situation now?
No, I must say that my mission starts right now, and I will be meeting with all political actors, former presidents, current presidents, speakers of parliament, again, like I said, different institutions that are at the heart of the respect of the rule of law and constitutional and human rights issues here in Maldives. So I start my mission with you, members of the press, and at this stage I have a lot to catch up on, I have a lot to learn, I have a lot of people to meet and to try to ascertain the situation. And for this, again, I will be counting on the cooperation of the different parties to extend and to receive me in the spirit of openness and transparency in which I am coming. My mission here is to better understand the events that led to this particular crisis and to see how the United Nations might be part of a mechanism that can support national institutions, national leaders to identify the problems and through a process of consensus building and national dialogue arrive at the solutions that are Maldivian solutions.
So just one more question. The former president said today that tomorrow will be too late. If he's arrested, the whole the international community will not be able to do anything. It will be a dead game. Can you please respond to that about his arrest for it?
Again, just for you to know, I just got off the plane after many hours, so I just heard this particular announcement. Let me just say that that of course we are concerned about the security of the former president, that it is extremely important that he be treated fully within the rule of law, and that his rights, like those of all Maldivians, need to be protected and respected. The Constitution has very clear provisions for the respect of individual rights. They need to be respected. And any issues need to be dealt properly within the justice systems of the Maldives. So without more, and not knowing exactly if there is and if an arrest warrant has or not been issued, I am not at this point able to comment more, since I'm not familiar with the issue as of now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.